What is going on, guys? It is Zigzag here, also known as Oscar. Welcome back to Geoguessr Explained, episode 2. The challenge links for this episode and for tomorrow's episode will be in the description, so go ahead and hit them up. And yeah, it's going to be no editing, and we'll just get straight into here. I'll try and explain exactly what my thought process is to help you guys out. Let's get straight into the first round here and see how you guys did. So yeah, if you haven't played this yet, go ahead, play it in the description, and then I will explain to you how or why I think it is where it is. So the first round here is definitely interesting. We have double yellow lines in the center, white outer lines. That definitely indicates Americas off the bat here, especially with this kind of climate. We've got green street signs here, which is more common in the US, but also can be found elsewhere in Canada as well. We are looking at some birch trees, definitely feeling quite northern here. Shouldn't be too far south anyway. And we have something here that says speed limit 25. So if it was a single word and said maximum, then it would be likely to, very, very likely to be Canada. But because we have two words here, this should be somewhere in the United States. Taking a look around as well, we have these like white poles with the orange bit at the top, which is more common in the US by far. And yeah, that's about all we have here. So we're just working with its winter coverage, fairly flat landscape. We've got like a lake. Yeah, this could be a number of places in the US. We don't really have any houses. Often houses are a really good way to tell where you are in the US based on how they look. But apart from that, well, yeah, we're left with not too much on around like this. So now we just kind of have to guess by the trees. I was thinking maybe like Wisconsin, Minnesota area are quite possible here. It could be as south as like Kentucky, but I think with the birches, it's more likely to go up here, or maybe up here in New England, I think. And also with this number of trees, probably anything out here is less likely. So yeah, that's essentially what I'm thinking here. I mean, where do we have a lot of lakes? Like Wisconsin kind of feels decent. I think Wisconsin's also a state that has quite a bit of winter coverage. So I might just click middle of Wisconsin here, southern Wisconsin, something like that. Now, I don't feel entirely confident, but you know, it does feel quite like Canada. So I do like kind of going in this area, somewhere up here. So let's find out where it actually is. And it ends up being in Minnesota, so one state over is not a bad result. And it seems like a bunch of people did get the state as well, which is cool. Okay, next one here. We are looking at some yellow plates here. This one should be somewhere in the Netherlands for that region. Netherlands being one of the only one of the only European countries that uses all yellow plates. Now, the only scare when it comes to Netherlands is this could be inside Luxembourg. But Luxembourg would normally paint their houses like this rather than having a lot of brick houses like we see for all the rest of them. Like this is typical like Netherlands, Belgium, UK architecture. So yeah, we're definitely going to be there with these yellow plates on both sides. What else can we say here? We got this cross-hatched brick, which is very common in neighborhoods in the Netherlands. So that's really a good tip as well. If you see this, that doesn't necessarily mean you're in the Netherlands, but makes it really quite likely, I would say. And what else here? There was something else I wanted to mention, I think. Well, I mean, just the whole like layout of this. It's very flat as well, which you could also use for Netherlands. Obviously, Netherlands is a pretty easy country to get, so I think we can just go through to the next round here, and I'll just kind of click somewhere over here. The yellow plates are the big lifesaver when it comes to Netherlands, which could otherwise be difficult to distinguish from Belgium. But okay, next one here is kind of interesting. So we appear to be driving on the left-hand side of the road, just based on this car here. Also, checking, we can see the steering wheel from the perspective of the driver is on the right, which would mean it's a left-hand drive country. That's how it works. So the steering wheel from the perspective of the driver is the opposite side to the driving side. Then, looking at this architecture, we have these kind of walls around the houses. Some of them are a bit set further back from the road. That's definitely going to be useful here. And then we look at some language here, Gales. That probably helps us out in combination with this number plate here, which is white at the back rather than yellow. So if you are not familiar, guys, the UK uses white front plates with a blue strip, generally speaking, and then yellow back plates with a blue strip. But here we do not have a yellow back plate. So that would probably indicate we're in the Republic of Ireland. Now, as I said, these setback houses, we see a bunch of setback houses here, a bit further back from the road with walls around them. That's very Irish. Not to mention the fact that we see a little bit of brick right here, but most of the houses like painted grey or something like that, or white. That's very Irish as well. So the probability of us being in Ireland here is very high. Not to mention, and the final and best tip here maybe, is that we have this yellow diamond sign, and in the UK they would use a red border triangle sign instead. So yeah, it all makes sense, it all adds up. we are definitely going to be in the Republic of Ireland here. As for the region, I could not really tell you, so just because it's flat and we see like a nice looking field in the distance here, I'm thinking of just clicking near Dublin, I think. And it was indeed not too far from Dublin, so that is a good result. Obviously, Ireland, not too easy to region guess here, so it's not a bad result. Okay, I have State Streak turned on, but that's okay. Let's see if we can get the state right ones. Okay, this round is looking a little bit different to the last one. So instead of white painted walls on this house, we have kind of brick instead. Oh, also, someone mentioned that they want the car turned on, or they would prefer it. I think I'll alternate episodes, or like I'll just kind of do whatever I'm feeling. So some episodes will have the Google car, some won't. But I think it's fun to do some without, definitely. Okay, as I was saying, yeah, we got this kind of exposed brick instead of like a red brick, or instead of like painted over. So this kind of house I would associate more with Britain, with France, maybe with Spain, although this looks maybe a bit too cold for Spain, I would say. So let's see, like these gates are very common in the UK, and this language to me looks rather Welsh, I would say. That's kind of the type of thing you need to like be able to recognize, but I think this double L, W-Y-N kind of sound, very Welsh, right? I mean, we can zoom in on the map. The good thing is you can just check on the map to see if you see anything that looks similar. But we have double L's here. Now I'm looking for like that kind of that suffix as well. It could still be Scotland. In fact, the house almost reminds me a bit more of Scotland, but I think it looks like Welsh language to me. It could be Scots. So let's take a look around, see if we see anything else here. What do we have? We have a yellow sticker on the pole. You do see that in the UK and Ireland, so that definitely fits. This house here, not really too easy to tell from my perspective. This doesn't help me at all. So yeah, we got hedgerows as well. Hedgerows, as I said in the last episode, UK, Ireland, France. They're the main ones that would have it. So yeah, and also this is like a hilly, kind of like a rolling hills landscape, which is also very much fitting for Wales here. So I think that's about it. The win suffix, I just want to check it quickly. I don't think it is. Anyway, Scotland probably looks a bit different in my opinion. Could still be there, but I feel like we're correct here. So let's just guess in the middle of Wales, and it was in the middle of Wales. Excellent. Yeah, kind of just this kind of central region of Wales looks a lot like that. Rolling hills and such, and so we're going for a good score here. We're going for a good score. We got the state right as well, technically speaking. Okay, it's been a bit of a Europe-themed episode so far. What was the first round? Because we had US, but now we're on a triple Europe, I think. That's what we're looking at here. So this time we're driving on the right-hand side of the road. We have concrete poles with these sections in it, but the sections are not like the ones you'd see in Hungary, Romania, Poland, because these sections don't go all the way through. They're not holes, instead they're just like kind of waffle shapes. Okay, and then taking a look around here, we have like this pole top as well. I'll come back to that in a minute. And we just have like a big, like a square kind of concrete block one here as well, although it might have holes in the side that we can't see. So then, I'm just trying to work out what this is more likely to be. Essentially, with this kind of holy pole, you're most likely to be in France, Spain. I mean, Belgium works as well, but when you see mountains in the background like that, I mean, even with the tallest hills over here in Belgium, they're not going to look like that. So really, and because I can see they're a bit dry, this should really be southern France or somewhere in Spain. So that's why I'm trying to work out exactly which one it should be here. We have this sign with a whitish border, and it's not a particularly thick red border either. So that probably reminds me more of somewhere in France, because Spanish signs tend to have a really thick red border. But it's not out of the question that this could still be Spain. So I want to check out the number plate here. Unfortunately, we can't really read that. But even if we could, it would be a bit of a cheap victory. So let's check out what we got going on here. This number plate does appear to have a blue strip on this side. On the other side, I don't think it does. And it might be the same with that one, though. It's really hard in Generation 2 to actually see, but generally speaking, French plates will have a little bit of blue on the other side as well. But nevertheless, I feel like this particular sign here does point me maybe more towards France. It's something on the border. Also, this pole top here, I believe, well, it definitely, you can see very similar ones that look like a lap pull-down bar, if you can imagine that in your head, or Google it if you don't know. Definitely looks like there are ones that look like that, and they're definitely in France and Spain. I think this one is looking more like a French one to me. So, yeah, I think overall, this should be France. The only concern is the number plates, but ultimately in Generation 2 camera, it's a bit too hard to see. So let's turn on the compass here. I kept on forgetting that. So these mountains are to the north. So given that's the case, I guess like somewhere over here probably fits the best, where we would see mountains to the north, because obviously the what are they called? The Pyrenees Mountains here. to the south instead of to the north. So this is where I'm going to click over here in France. Hopefully it's not Spain. And it was. Okay, Corsica. That makes a lot of sense. So I'm assuming some people would have gotten Corsica here. We'll find out in just a second. But unfortunately just didn't come to mind. Normally on Corsica you'd be more likely to see a yellow plate. And the person hedging actually comes out on top there, which is pretty funny. So 22,000 points. Obviously in a Europe heavy seed that's pretty standard. Like you would hope to get quite a few points there. But the 3 guesses in Northern Europe were actually quite nice. So let's check out people's scores here quickly. I won't check out the top people too much, but like GeoSniffer did a good job here. The hedge definitely paid off to get in the most points. But I'm just going to come down here and check out someone who I haven't heard of, or someone who might have struggled a bit more with the seed. So let's go down to a sub 20,000 score here and see if we can sort out the issues. So here we are at about 19,000 exactly works. So Master, 122nd place. Let's check out what he was guessing. And Ireland was pretty self-explanatory. Did a good job there. Must have missed the language in England, but ultimately that's a fine guess. And to be honest, I don't really know. It's not a bad guess if you missed that, especially. Netherlands makes sense, of course. Here was the Spain. So ultimately, when I clicked on France, I was pretty sure it was there, but I wasn't entirely sure. So that's not a terrible guess, especially with the mountains to the north. It kind of did make sense, I feel. So not too much to say about that guess. Master's done a good job there, I think. Just not the best. And then over in the US, here was the problem. So we saw those poles with the orange on the top, and we saw the speed limit sign. The speed limit sign being the big one there, because the other one can be more baity, but yeah. And as for the guess, I don't really think it makes sense. Winter coverage is not too common in South Alberta either, and there'll be less trees, much less trees over that side. So we can think about that, and let's go for one more person here. I saw someone with a Yeet profile picture. Let's go for them. Oh, maybe they're a bit further down, actually. Where were they? Oh, there we go. Let's go for Tozy here. So Tozy, going a bit further south. Again, this guess is fine, I think. Although Indiana might not have that much winter coverage, it's a good hedge. The Ireland, he nailed. The Wales, again, same issue. And then the France, just a bit too far north. And I guess those kind of bare mountains that we saw in France were kind of the bigger kind of factor there in that last one. But yeah, I mean, pretty good guess anyway. So let's go into region guessing here, which should be a little bit more difficult today, and see what we're up against. So we are looking at here. Well, if you were looking this direction, I could easily forgive you for thinking this was Canada or something like that. However, if we zoom in here, we can see that we have a yellow filled in speed sign here or something, and then a blue sign in the distance. Both of these would fit really well for Finland. Then if we turn over this direction, we can see also we've got a bunch of European bollards like this one. And these circular ones are, I believe, Finnish as well. Now, when you see a hill this big in Finland, should indicate Lapland. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Somewhere up here, further north. Unless I'm getting that mixed up with Sweden. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that Lapland area is all this. And so that would definitely indicate that we're in the north of the country here. I'm not entirely sure where to click here. We can turn the compass back on again here and get the road angle, which is kind of more or less more so east to west, something like that maybe. So I might head with that. Could also be all the way up. The trees are a bit kind of thinner and shorter, though we do have some fairly tall ones, so you couldn't use that one that confidently here. And it's kind of rocky as well. I don't know. The main thing here is to know that the bollards are here. I'd also say, just on a personal note, that the yellow lines, the old yellow lines in Finland, they don't use them anymore. But the old ones tend to be quite light yellow, whereas in North America they're a bit more orangish. So that's what I'll say here. Let's go for our guess. Ends up being a bit further south. That probably explains why the trees were so tall. But yeah, we got the correct country there. Okay, next one here. Black back of the sign, double yellow lines, immediately know it's Brazil, basically. If you see a cross, but the sign is black at the back, plus double yellows, it should be Brazil. We got these concrete poles here as well. We've got some kind of a trident here. Trident poles in Brazil are often found in Maranhão, but Maranhão you would have a very red sandy soil everywhere, and it would not be this green like that. So we can't really be in Maranhão, so now I'm kind of thinking of just more southern states here. This kind of green rolling hills with a bunch of trees on them definitely reminds me of the southern states. So when you get around like this, it's worth it to look for a Parana pine. Now I don't think we can actually see any Parana pines here, unfortunately, but they would definitely give us the fact that this should be something southern, like these 3 southern states. As it stands, because we don't see any of those, I am kind of tempted a little bit by just by Sao Paulo here, but I think I might hedge it in Paraná instead. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, we do see a bit of that typical Brazilian red dirt, like over here. That also helps. And then that's about it for explaining this one. You kind of just have to get the vibe, I think. But the country is pretty easy, I would say. So, oh, that is a Piranha Pine. Okay, so now I want to go a bit further south. Now I'll kind of click Santa Catarina instead. And yeah, it was a good change. Debris. Absolutely nailing it there, getting the right road essentially. But we're actually really close as well with 86 kilometers away, so I cannot complain with that. Okay, so yeah, Piranha Pines, they kind of, you can look up a picture, just Piranha Pine on Google, but they have these long branches with like pom-poms at the end of leaves, so that's the best way to see it. And look where we've ended up again. Here we have a much better view of the Brazilian pole, so as opposed to other section poles, the Brazilian ones tend to have like 3 of these sections like that. They're hollowed out, and then you have dot, 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 dot. Sometimes the dots start a bit higher up, and then you have these like insulators at the top. Okay, I'm taking a look around here. There are a few different places I could see this one being, although I do have a particular thought at this stage, so let's take a look a bit more around. Here we have one of those tridents that I was talking about last round, and even though I said Maranhão is generally speaking not as green, I do consider Maranhão and Belém quite a decent possibility here, and the reason for that is that even though it is kind of green, and we have a lot of these palms, we have a lot of palms everywhere, particularly like a bunch of like really thin palms here. That definitely reminds me of that northern Brazil area. Also, these kind of roofs are very Brazilian and very North Brazilian as well. So it kind of reminds you a bit of like Portugal, but obviously in North Brazil where a lot of the Portuguese went. Yeah, it's a dense forest here, so that almost reminds me more of the Belém side here. So I could see like often you do get like the Maranhão poles around Belém, so I kind of think it could be like, yeah, kind of this area near Belém. So that's really my thought here. Not really sure. It could, if it's not there, I would say it's like somewhere else in the north over here. I don't really see this being southern, just because of like, obviously there are like a lot of southern palms. You just kind of have to learn them. These thin ones more northern, I would say. Thin trunks, you know. And also this dirt as well. I'm pretty decent here, yeah, feeling decent, but ultimately you just kind of have to learn the vibe in Brazil, and it ends up being, yeah, in Maranhão. It was a Maranhão trident, and hello, Debray is absolutely popping off in terms of the Brazil guesses today. He's actually gotten the right place twice in a row, so that's quite impressive. Not that ours were bad, we were actually pretty good as well, but yeah, his were just crazy. And can we hit the three-peat? Can we legitimately hit the three-peat here? It looks like we may be seeing another Brazil here, and this one is certainly interesting. So, this time we have 2 insulators, which is less typical. We have a thick... No. This is not Brazil at all. They do look similar to Brazilian poles, but actually, for a variety of reasons, this one's actually going to be Thailand. So let me explain to you why. So on the first one here, we have the sign set up for left-hand drive. So if you see a sign with like the directional telling you what's coming up, and it's set up on the left-hand side of the road, that tends to mean you're in a left-hand drive country, just the way things are. Then also we've got this black base of the sign here, very Thai indeed as well. Taking a look over here, you can also see the black base of the sign. You can also see this kind of like metal sheet around the square pole here. And yeah, Thailand using square concrete poles, and they often have this metal sheet around it, probably more than any other Southeast Asian country, so you can also use that. Then we also got a white plate here, kind of like middle length. And yeah, it is kind of dry. I'm not so sure where this one is. When I see this kind of dry but dense forest, I kind of think of like the Tuck area, but I could see this being anywhere in the north, or even maybe over towards Vientiane is possible as well. Although we do see bigger hills, so, you know, obviously like the north of Thailand being the more hilly area here. I could hedge it, but I'm going to go for the good score. I kind of remember seeing similar rounds where I clicked here, so we'll see. Now, could this be the peninsula? Yes, but I would expect it to be a bit more green, less dry. Down there. So I'm going to go for that guess, and it's going to be decent. It was all the way over near Laos there, and yeah, me and Debray both kind of hedging further towards there, but Debray on for a stonking score here, so definitely showing why he's so good. And the last one here should be somewhere, I think, in, well, let's take a look around and kind of gauge it for ourselves for a minute here. No Google car to help us out here is interesting. Okay, we've got like a pinkish sky here. That's definitely going to help us out, I think. Okay, so the country here is Russia. Now, there are a few reasons I know that, but it's not so easy to describe on this occasion, I would say. We have this dirt road coverage, that's definitely common in Generation 4 Russia. We have pinkish, like, wildflowers. Pinkish wildflowers can be found all over Russia. Especially in Generation 4, and in Generation 3 as well, they tend to show up a lot. I can see picking through here a blue roof as well, which is quite Russian. This building kind of looks post-Soviet as well, and then these houses, probably what made me sure it was Russia, because this one here, even though we can't really see it through the dust, is quintessential Russian. Yeah, just that Russian architecture made of wood cabin kind of houses here. Pole also helps, but you can find this pole in many countries. And then we have like some spruces here, I believe. So some larches, I think. I think these are larches. So Siberian larches tend to be able to see through the leaves, and they're conifers as well. So yeah, I definitely like that. When you have this hazy sky, it tends to be like in the vicinity of Yakutsk and Magadan. Now Magadan is really mountainous, and we do see mountains here, but nothing too like huge. I do think Magadan might be more likely here, though. I would like to be able to see the Google car. As for over this side, Yakutsk, it is like to the west of Yakutsk, quite flat in comparison. These two both have hazy sky, though. If you go east of Magadan and west of Magadan, I mean east of Yakutsk, west of Yakutsk, you see quite a lot of this hazy coverage. It could also just be on the road to Yakutsk as well, but I'm not so sure. I kind of feel like clicking Magadan here is actually a decent shout, just because it feels like quite a few people live here. It feels very cold. Yeah, I am a little concerned that it is just like kind of near Yakutsk as well. Obviously, we're going to lose a lot of points if we're wrong. But I think I'll stick to my guns here and find out, shall we? Yeah, I think it is time to find out. And let's hit guess here. It ends up being right there in Magadan. Okay, very nice. So, yeah, I just kind of clicked that because there was more people. But yeah, that whole road hazy, and the one to the left. That's well worth remembering. So actually, as a region guessing video goes, like Finland and Thailand were our bad guesses, and we absolutely nailed Brazil and Russia there. So let's take a look at how people did here. I actually may have come close to the top here because of that Magadan guess. Yeah, me and Debre at the top there. So Debre just missing out in the Magadan, but pretty much nailing everything else, which is really impressive. But let's take a good little scroll down here and see how people did. Wow, all the way at 22, and we're already down to 15,000 points. So clearly, there's a lot more to be learned in this episode than in the last one. So let's scroll down here a little bit more and see here. I think, we're already down to people getting 4,000 points here. So I think kind of clicking more on the middle of the range here, someone getting about 10,000 would be most useful, I think. So let's go for Luva here and see how their guesses were. So Luva getting Finland, that was a good guess. Not entirely the easiest round, so definitely probably more experienced player. So well done for that one. And I think the clue there was the hilliness to go a bit further north. And if it is hilly in the south, it's normally on the Russian border as well, I would say. They guessed Chile for, which is understandable, but I think the architecture is similar in Chile, I'll say that, but it's definitely recognizable to be Russian in that round, so just like, pay attention next time you're in Russia, and hopefully you can get it a bit more like that. The Thailand they did well on, and then the Brazil was a real struggle for them, clearly. So, yeah, in the north one, just paying attention to the different style of palms, the different kind of more Amazonian-looking forest. I don't know, it's kind of something you have to learn. And then as for the southern one, we had the Paraná pine, and then kind of the green rolling hills. You could see that in Goiás, probably much more red soil around this center part here. But yeah, Brazil, you just have to play it a million times. And, even though I got 2 good Brazil guesses today, it was only yesterday that I got knocked out of a tournament on a terrible Brazil guess. So, that's kind of the way it goes. Now, let's check out another person here just because this one was a struggle. Let's go for someone who even did more poorly and try and explain to them. So we got Ivan Dejaya here. Ivan Dejaya, and Ivan missed this Russia, although with a pretty good guess, all things considered, guessing in the right kind of place. Now, you would see more of those larches if you can identify them. They're more so in this kind of region over here. And then as for the USA guess on Finland, it's understandable. As I said, those bollards would not be found in North America, so that was pretty much the biggest thing on that round. Just keep in mind that you can get American bollards like I showed in yesterday's episode, but they're quite uncommon, so yeah. Then an Australia guess on the Thailand is not as silly as it seems. But I'm pretty sure on this Thailand round we were using yellow center lines, were we not? And yeah, actually we had no center lines. Okay, that makes sense. So what can we use here? I mean, well, these thick signposts would not be found in Australia. Where he clicked in Western Australia, you'd use yellow signposts, and then for the rest of the country, you just use silver ones. They're not going to be thick like that. Those thick ones can be found in New Zealand, but obviously that one was never going to be New Zealand. And then again, just that kind of forest wouldn't be found in Australia, but that's something you need to know from experience. And so, what about Yvonne in Brazil? Brazil actually went pretty well for him, getting the South Brazil vibe, and actually this guess is not that bad either, because, it's on the edge of the Amazon, so you can't really complain. But okay, there we go. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Hope this helped you. Do like and subscribe, and be sure to keep playing along, and do also share how you went, because obviously I don't have time to check everyone, but I'll enjoy reading the comments saying how each of you went. So yeah, that's going to be it. Till next time, and take care. Goodbye.